Hey everyone, it's Julie and Mark here from RVLove, and we're here with our friends Kyle and Olivia from Drivin and Vibin.
Hi guys.
Yeah, how's it going?
Thanks for having us.
We are super excited to reconnect with these guys. A year since we all got together in Quartzsite last year to launch our Road Gear Reviews channel.
So we're really excited to have Kyle and Olivia here because we have very different camping styles. We're predominantly in campgrounds and they're predominantly boondocking, and we have very different rigs, so it's really exciting for us to get the perspective of someone who has a very different experience.
So stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. Again, Kyle and Olivia here from Drivin and Vibin, and if you haven't checked them out, go check out their channel, Drivin and Vibin, here on YouTube. Guys, tell us about your camping style, because you have a very different style of RV than we do, and you spend a vastly greater amount of time out in the boonies than we do. So tell us a bit about that.
So we are in a 16-foot 1985 fiber stream, and it is a tiny camper, but we are able to access some very cool locations.
Yes, and so when we hit the road, we were living off of a very small budget, and so that was a big thing to keep in mind, is how can we save money in as many ways as possible to travel the country and have all these great experiences. And one of the best ways we could do that was doing a lot of boondocking and free camping on public land or BLM land, which out west it's plentiful. So we learned quickly how to boondock and what we needed to boondock.
But it wasn't without a learning curve, I'd have to say, because Olivia's idea whenever we first hit the road was 100% boondocking all the time. We quickly realized that we couldn't do that. In a few months into it, we did finally get a Honda generator, in addition to our 200 watts of solar, to really make it, you know, these off-the-grid camping experience much more enjoyable. Yeah, we couldn't really do as much boondocking as we expected because we had just a residential little mini fridge that was in our trailer, and we had no idea the power consumption that would use, and it was just draining our batteries so quickly, so we would have to leave and go hook up somewhere and recharge our batteries. But we thought that 200 watts of solar was going to do it, but thankfully we got a great deal on our generator from our friends, and that really changed the whole boondocking game for us and let us stay much longer periods of time out and about. So we can comfortably stay for about a week out boondocking before it's time to go refresh, dump tanks, refill, and take a long hot shower, do some laundry, things like that.
The simple pleasures in life, isn't it? We were in Quartzsite last week, and we went to an RV park in Yuma for 2 days before we came here. We're just north of Yuma now, and just those 2 days with full hookups and a hot tub and a laundry, it's pretty hard to beat.
It really makes you appreciate the little things in life that we, you know, in our stationary life we took for granted. Just turning that knob and hot water coming out. Now it's much different experience.
That's a really good point, actually. And speaking of like appreciating those little things, though, on the flip side, that's one of the amazing things about boondocking and getting out into locations like where we are now, just north of Yuma.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would have some limited capacities with power and with water, but you guys also, with a 16-foot rig and a smaller truck, you guys can get into some really special and unique spots.
Yeah, we have gotten into some amazing spots with the rig. You know, in the first maybe 1.5 years on the road, I was a little hesitant to see where we could go, you know, but now I'm like, whatever. If the truck can make it there, we'll see what happens. We've camped on it was, so, you know, it was a learning curve, but now it's no fear. We camped on Blankenship Bridge, which is right outside of Glacier National Park, on this riverbed. It's so hard to describe what it's like to be camping for free, waking up out your front door and having this river going by, knowing you're a few miles away from the entrance to Glacier National Park. It's just, those experiences are really what we, you know, resonates with us with free camping.
Yes, and I mean, there's so many awesome places that our friends don't even know about because they could never get their rig there. So even for the solar eclipse, we were in Wyoming, and we were able to get down on this little bitty slice of beach on this reservoir, and we had this whole beach to ourselves, and it's just really awesome, kind of the freedom and flexibility we have to go to some of these places.
So because you guys have been doing so much boondocking, we know you produce a lot of videos, you've shared a lot of tips with people. I mean, we've got a successful boondocking without solar video from Quartzsite last year, and we'll put the link to that down below, but you've got a whole playlist.
Yeah, so, you know, as far as the tip goes, I would just say, first off, get out there and do it. It is scary at first. You know, I was hesitant about pulling the rig out in the middle of nowhere where possibly no one else was around and had these fears brewing. But really, the best way that I got over it was just to get out and do it.
Yeah, experience definitely is important and will change the whole way you see things, because it's really hard to expect what you haven't done before, and all these unknowns and these questions. We get a lot of questions about safety and about resources we use to find these free camping locations. We have tons of information about that on our channel. Like Julie said, we have a free camping playlist. We review every free campsite that we stay at and give an in-depth overview of what size rigs can fit down here and kind of what there is to do in the area. So we have tons of info about that on our channel.
And we do it for a few reasons. You know, we do it because that's what the type of content we want to see. We want to see what these campsites are actually like. Take me inside of it and show me around. A review is awesome, but sometimes like a video just gives someone a better idea, because we want you to get out there and go to the public lands. It is like y'all's land to camp at. So you know, we create that content, so hopefully it inspires people not only to see what's out there, but to get a better sense of security of what to expect.
And we had no idea that free camping or BLM land existed before we hit the road. I had no idea this was a thing. And so now we're out here in this beautiful, like, sweeping desert landscape with mountains on the horizons and the cactus, and it's just gorgeous and beautiful. We have the most pretty sunsets every evening, and to think, like, I get this like all to myself sometimes. It's just like my beautiful view out my front door. So I feel very grateful that we get to experience these things.
So in case you're wondering, BLM lands is a Bureau of Land Management, and they are free public lands that are available for all of us to camp on, and that we own them because they're public. Like, we are perfectly entitled. I think they mostly have 14-day limits as a general rule, where you can stay, you can go away and then come back. But they've been fantastic, and there are lots of great ways to find those, and we've got a few tips on that, and so have you. So tell us how you find these great campsites.
Yeah, so we use pretty much a three-pronged approach, I would say. Our first approach is campendium.com. It is our absolute favorite website to find free camping. The most epic campsites we've found have been through Campendium.
And there's tons of reviews by fellow full-time travelers that we trust their opinion and their feedback on these locations. So we have a pretty good idea of what the area is like before we even get there. Yeah,
and on Campendium, one of the other great features is that a lot of the users provide what type of cell service is available at each of these locations. So if we see that AT&T, T-Mobile is strong there, we're going to be so much more inclined to go to that site.
Yeah, because y'all are still working full-time to keep yourselves supported on the road.
Yes, definitely. It's important for us to stay connected. And so, like, our second approach is using freecampsites.net. They have a very large database of free campsites across the country. So if we don't find anything in the area we're looking at on Campendium, we will look on free campsites. And many times we have had good luck finding other options in the area that weren't available in the first one.
I would say free campsites has so many more sites, but you got to be hesitant sometimes because it's really geared towards smaller rigs. So quite often a Class A wouldn't be able to fit in where some of these free campsite locations are on that website. So you got to be careful doing your research on that one. And then the last site we use is actually an app, and it's called Allstays. And we primarily use Allstays for overnight parking. And this is like boondocking at either Walmart, Cracker Barrel, a rest stop. Not the most glamorous type of boondocking, but if we're trying to make some serious ground or just need a place to sleep at night, we found that to be a good option.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate the companies that make that available to us RVers, because just to be able to jump off the interstate and have a safe night's sleep and then keep driving again is invaluable.
Yeah, it's not really camping, but it's a place.
Well, I heard the other day it's wall docking, apparently they call it. Not boondocking, everyone likes wall docking.
It took us about a year before we even did our first Walmart stay. I have to say, it's not great, but I love that I can get late night snacks. Usually there's a Starbucks nearby, so it has its
perks.
Get
work done.
Redbox,
get some groceries while we're there.
Exactly.
So do you guys have any resources that you use to find free camping?
Yeah, well, we use the ones that you talked about, and often because our rig is bigger, we've got a 36-foot motorhome, the considerations are really different for us as they are for you. And so what we find is sometimes some of those resources don't talk about how to handle it with a bigger rig. But there are still lots of great free campsites out there for larger RVs, and we found a resource that we love. It's called the Frugal Shunpikers Guides, and that sounds like a weird name. I'd never heard of shunpiking before, but it's literally shunning the pike, so shunning the toll roads, the major highways, in favour of travelling on the more scenic byways and country roads that are less trafficked, but also often more scenic, and that's where you can find a lot of really great campsites. And the author Marianne Edwards has travelled over 60,000 miles US and Canada, and she's done these guides. There's 5 different states, and goes into a lot of detail on what size rigs can get in there, the GPS coordinates, what water is nearby, what national monuments, national parks, and we really love the detail. We actually did a review on that recently in our Road Gear Reviews channel, so I'll put that link down below.
Share with you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
So I think there's lots of great information there for people to get started. I think one of the points that we always like to make is, as Kyle and Olivia said, it's a little scary the first time going out and boondocking or dry camping if you've never done it before. I think our first time was actually right here, just north of Yuma, because it was an easy place to access. It had been recommended by some fellow RVing friends with a bigger rig, and just the first couple of times you really start to get your confidence up, and then following blogs and YouTube channels like this where you can see other people are doing it really gives you confidence. Follow all of the tips that everyone shares with you, and go to places that have been tried and tested by people that you trust. So but it is safe. None of us we've never had any issues or safety issues, have you?
No, and if we do even feel a little unease whenever we pull up to site, we'll just go somewhere else because it's not worth our peace of mind.
So we tend to like to avoid areas that have a lot of traffic in and out, and those tend to be the places that we feel less comfortable. And it's usually a very brief overnight stay at a city park or something like that, where there's cars coming in and out. I'm just very aware of the background noise. So even if we weren't in any real danger of anything, it just is not fun to be half awake all night. So we'll just say, you know what, our home is on wheels, we can move along to the next spot as we wish. So
yeah, use your common sense for sure. But we'll hope you guys all found that useful. We've got a bunch of links of what we've mentioned today that we're going to put down in the description. As always, if you're not subscribing, click the subscribe button to our channel, RVLove TV, and of course Drivin and Vibin. So let us know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Later on.